Well, we like to keep a balance with government-type projects, municipal government, and the private sector. We believe that it's just good business case to have just in case the private sector has a slow growth. Well, at least we can rely on government-type projects. For the government-type projects, we're quite lucky. We've got awarded 2 national park pavilions, one in the Great North of Quebec, just in the subarctic climate, which is for the Parc National Curie-Jouac. And right now it's the hospitality facilities are under construction in the heart of the park. And the other project is for the Parc National du Mont-Tremblant. So this has just been completed.
Okay, so sitting down with Daniel Smith from Smith Vigeant architect firm, and I'm just for our viewers, I'm just gonna ask you just to introduce yourself and give our viewers an understanding of who you are and where you come from.
Okay. I'm an architect and been partnered with Stéphane Vigeant for over 20 years for Smith Vigeant Architects. I have around 30 years experience in the field. I worked for other firms, and I decided that I'd probably have more fun working on with Stéphane and do our own projects. We have all kinds of projects, from the commercial to housing type projects, and what we try to do is to bring the client and to look at a different way of building.
Given your 30 years plus experience in this field, where does your source of inspiration come from?
Well, I think I travel a lot, and I think it's important to see what's done elsewhere. But we should not forget that we're in a very, very difficult climate, and we have to design for the climate. So I think understanding what is done in northern countries is quite interesting, and there's always a tendency to see what's happening in Miami and in Barcelona, which architecture is just beautiful. But I think it's important to know what's happening in environments that are very similar to ours. Obviously, inspiration, it's the site, the context. Obviously, I think it's important to understand where you're building. It could be up north in the Great North, Arctic, subarctic, where reality is completely different. The environment is a great source of inspiration.
As you see now, we have some new towers going up in Montreal, particularly in the office sector. We have the Deloitte Towers, we have Canberel putting up the tower at Quartier des Spectacles, and you're seeing other small promoters also putting up office towers and office space within their condo projects. How do you see the future of designs of office buildings that we can also see how we can retrofit existing buildings today to be more energy efficient?
Well, I think retrofit the existing buildings is the key, because 99% of all the buildings are all existing, and most of them need to be revamped. The new buildings that are coming up are just good examples leading the way for sustainable projects, and for LEED certification as an example, BOMA BEST certification. And I think eventually when we'll be able to benchmark all these buildings, project managers and building owners will be able to compare and its efficiency, the efficiencies of their building portfolios. And I think it's all about saving money but creating better space. And space is an important thing that we're not talking about that much right now, because it's difficult to quantify the benefits. But I think more and more building occupants and new tenants will be demanding better performing spaces. So this is what we're doing at the Complexe de Gaspé, is we're very, very in tune with what the new tenants are requiring. And they want better light, better systems, better control, and it's all for better productivity. Often people were just thinking about the cost of renting a space instead of looking at the cost of production. So I think people will be shifting a little their vision and their cost analysis into not only how much a space costs, but what type of space could help us create and produce more.
So what would you say to anybody that's looking to be an architect or coming into this field? Would you recommend this type of work? I mean, obviously you're passionate about it, but some people maybe don't know what it takes to be an architect, the hard work that goes into it, and patience.
So I think the whole question of resolving a problem is our major reason why we're there. You know, there's an idea, we need to build space. We come to see an architect, we define a program, and then we come up with different solutions. Obviously, there's all kinds of guidelines, bylaws, budget restraints, time, and then we create these working drawings, construction drawings, and then we give them to a contractor. They will interpret them, they will build, they will give certain contracts out to the subtrades. So it's a very long process and very complex project, but at the end, the architect has to understand all these elements of the process of building. And so even though we're not expert in all these fields, we have to know how to coordinate, communicate, so this process could be a linear. The client, the users has to be part of that. Obviously, the other engineers has to be involved with that, especially if you want to introduce sustainable measures. So I think being a visionary is important, but I think you have to be a team leader at first.
Thank you, Danielle. It was great to be able to sit down with you.